We are here to talk about licensing your expertise. First, I will just briefly introduce myself. I am Erin Austin. I am a lawyer and consultant, and I am the founder of Think Beyond IP. So if we want to create a business that we can sell someday, we have to make sure that the business is saleable. And so there are a couple of key elements to creating a business that can be sold. And those are exclusivity and predictability. And so exclusivity means that you have assets that you own 100%, as well as you have positioning, that you have your unique position in the market. So that's your exclusivity piece. The other piece is your predictability. So we're talking about selling a business. The buyer has to be confident that the business will continue to prosper in its hands in the same way that it has prospered in your hands. The transformation of licensing is that it transforms you from an expert-driven business, meaning Erin or Erica, whoever, like we're the expert of our business, to a business that is driven by our expertise that can be delivered by other people other than ourselves. Types of licensing programs. There's the train the trainer. I call it the train the in-house trainers just to make the distinction here. So when you train your in-house trainers, if you're current clients, you go to them and you provide training to them. And instead of you going on site to do that training, you would train someone who's in-house to the client. And another way to proceed is training independent providers. So these are people who have their own clients, and so they'll be adding your service, productized service methodology to the services that they provide to their clients. All right, so yes, we will be talking about the 3 nons. And if I was more creative, that would have been like a spooky font there, because these restrictions can have significant impact. And by that, I mean negative impact on your business. And so those are non-disclosure, non-solicitation, and non-competition restrictions. We love contracts because that's how we get paid, but that they can have provisions in them that can significantly interfere with your ability to exploit your expertise. And what we talked about last time was from the copyright perspective. When you have pre-existing materials, such as you have training materials or you have a certain framework, and that framework or materials are part of the deliverables that you're providing to your client, you want to make sure that you aren't assigning all the rights in your pre-existing materials to your clients. So we talked about that. And then we talked about when you're licensing those materials to your clients, that the license is not so broad that they can do anything they want to with your materials. And so a restrictive covenant is something that tells you what you can't do, and not about what you can't do when you're performing services, but what you can do outside of performing services. So it tells you basically what you can't do after the services are done. Two things that you must do if you want to sell your business. Now, one thing I want to go back to what Sean said, and I know that some of you here are thinking about technology products, and the focus for today will be on the service-based business and making sure that we understand that even if you are service-based business, that you should still be developing assets in your business around ownership. You know, again, when you have a service-based business, you have your intellect, of course, you own it. But when we think about ownership, we have to think about assets. So you get legal monopoly. So talk about exclusivity. Like when you have intellectual property, the only way for a third party to get that intellectual property is for them to acquire it from you. They cannot create their own. I mean, if they do it originally, if somehow they come up with the same thing without having any access to your assets, but they cannot copy it in any way without either getting a license from you or buying your intellectual property. And so one of the ways I like to illustrate the value in a process um, is to look at it in the context of a physical, um, physical asset based business. When you think of as being more physical asset heavy. So let's say you had a tire manufacturing company. And so you have, your real estate, you have your factory, you have equipment, you have inventory, and but you have this process that you use to build, to create, manufacture no waste tires. And so if a third party wanted to come and acquire that business, I mean, yeah, they could buy your inventory and your equipment and things, and it would be just kind of whatever the market, whatever the market rate is, right? The depreciated assets, the depreciated equipment, that's all that's worth. But the process for building a no waste tire, that is where all the value in that business is. Anyone can get a factory, get some real estate, get some equipment. It takes money, but anyone can do it. There's no exclusivity whatsoever in that. The exclusivity in that business and the value in that business is that process to create that no waste tire. And that is something obviously they would protect with trade secrets. And so when we think about the processes that we use in our business, I remember that is the value. That is that thing that in the hands of a third party would be exclusive. That exclusivity they're transferring from you to them.